I got to record it. So I want to record it to the cloud. For some reason, the last show I just did with a local DJ didn't come out, and I have to take it from Facebook, but I'm recording this one to the cloud. Everybody, welcome. This is Docg Presents, of course, and of course I'm Docg. This man I've known for a little bit of time. I broke bread with him, and I really love his attitude, his sense of soul being, and he's just a great guy. I mean, he's done almost everything. I think he's wrote music, he's made music, he runs Soulogy and many, many other things. Soulogy Studios. Welcome, Todd Medina.
Thank you, Gene, brother. What's happening?
Man, I got to tell you, last time I saw you, when you were here, we were playing games and doing stuff. We had so much fun. Yeah. We talked about you for months.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an important part of the journey.
I think so. So what have you been doing and what you've been up to? I know you run every day, like 2 or 3 videos or shows you're doing every day.
Yeah, we do.
So more than that.
Well, no. Well, sometimes, but not like the old days. In the old days, we used to do like 5 and 6 a day. Back in 2018 and sometimes in 2019. But anyway, so, well, in summary, we've had, Soulogy was created in early 2012, March of 2012, and Soulogy One Studios was created in March of 2015. And so that was to be, as I understood the download, was to be like the artistic and creative expression of Soulogy. So, and of course I said, like, what does that mean? Oh, well, you figure it out. So anyway, we probably have about 4,500, I've lost count, but say 4,500 video productions of some sort. Okay. Since March of 2015, and about 2,350 are Soul Speaks 5D. Which is our primary program. That's the one you're referring to. So we come on.
Yes.
5D, we do about 2 a day, I'd say the average is probably like 2.3 or something. So we probably end up doing, I don't know, probably 62 or 65 a month. Normal rate. But we'll hit 2,500 episodes at the end of this year.
Bravo, brother. Bravo. Yeah. What you're doing for yourself and humanity and people around you. I just got to say it's wonderful that you're turning everybody on to, what their soul is telling them, right? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting story because on the linear timeline, it looks like Todd started this and, and all that stuff. But of course, I've been 5 years since September of 2015 connected and in a sacred relationship with Morgan Lee. So as we had continued our journey together, more information came out. So there's a couple of interesting points. One is I was given the name Soulogy actually on her birthday, March 10th of 2012, and I didn't even know her, which is significant, and I was given the name Soulogy by Archangel Michael's consciousness, or however you explain that.
Right.
And so then the crazy thing is, and I didn't know this till last year when it came up on my memories, I was given Soulogy One Studios on March the 10th, her birthday in 2015, which would be 6 months before I'd actually connect with her. But anyway, she's been downloading for about 20 years and, really substantial information, sacred wisdom. And around 2008 or 2009, she had this vision. I don't know if it was a download, a vision, or a combination of both, where she visualized this hub where people could come together and share their skills, abilities, experiences, and stories. And so that's really what's been manifested. So it's a platform for people to come out. A lot of people come out on the show for the first time ever, and they talk about their experiences. And we're talking ETs, visitations, dragons, fairies, angels, telekinesis, telepathy, teleportation. I mean, and we talk about first and foremost the humans perspective and the human's experience, the human aspect, because that's the one that we're most conscious in. So, but the other thing that's really intriguing too is we connect every night to infinite intelligence, God, source, goddess, whatever you want to call it. And last year we were living in Hawaii for a short period of time before we got called to the mainland.
Mhm.
And we were having a lot of really powerful downloads involving Lemuria, monads in the ethers. And one of those monads was a monad of 24. We would be two of them.
Mhm.
And it occurred, well, what happened was we physically, in physical consciousness, entered this monad. So it was kind of a merging of the physical and non-physical. We did it together. It called us. We didn't seek it out.
Right.
And at that meeting, they said, this is the first time the two of you have been consciously present in this monad in 60 years. Now, at the time, I'm 57, I'm 58 now. And they said, because 60 years ago, we all formed a contract and an agreement. And part of that agreement was the two of you would go down there and this would be part of the mission, would be Soulogy. So that's, some interesting, things about the journey, but because it's not as simple as it looks, but yeah,
Boy,
so
it's not
it's
simple. You know that. There's a
yeah, no, it's not,
our
especially
our
now.
journey has been such a struggle. I mean, I'll be honest with this COVID, uh, whether you believe it or you don't believe it. I mean, I've talked to people all the time about it, and spiritually, I think we're going through a big revival spiritually through this. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think if you can step away from the literalness, in other words, if you can expand your perspective to go beyond just I'm a human being and there's a threat and I can die and all this stuff, and you can at least tap in a little bit to the fact that you are eternal and infinite and a fractal of God or goddess or source or whatever. And if you look at it from a collective standpoint, even from an individual standpoint, there's a lot of, what do you want to say? There's a lot of stuff coming to the surface,
Right.
which if that's what's happening in our individual lives, and I think you, me, and many of us, pretty much all of us can attest to that over the last few years, it's also as within without. So what we're experiencing within ourselves is being experienced collectively outside ourselves. But to your point, if you look at the literal aspects or the things that have come out, the byproducts of COVID,
Mhm.
okay, you've got isolation, you've got people no longer in the normal patterns and behaviors of their lives because they can't go to work and they can't go to the store and all that stuff. You've also got the discontinuation of the system, be it the banking system,
Right.
primarily the educational system, the medical system. You got huge reports of people not going to the hospital, not going to see their doctors. Of course, the kids are staying at home, teachers at home. So if you look at it from an energetic standpoint, what more could you ask for? Look at this perfect this perfect divine thing that we've created together at some level well beyond our human comprehension, which means I'm having to spend time by myself. I'm having to analyze and be self-introspective.
Right.
Number two, I'm now living, I've been living in the house with family who I haven't really connected with or talked to in the 20 years I've lived with them. I'm just giving an example. I've read posts like this. I read a post by a guy that said, I've been married for 23 years. I've been going to work. She's been going to work. Now we're
Yeah.
having to stay home. And I finally
Yep.
got to know her in the kitchen the other day.
Yep.
So that's happening. And then you have the unleashing of what is probably the most powerful force on the earth, in my opinion, today, which is these children. These children are coming in at a higher frequency than we are. They haven't been subjected to the conditioning. Their DNA is more in alignment. They are beating at a level that they can't explain to us. And I believe we could literally sit next to them and just like a tuning fork, go up to their frequency. But this is the future. Now they've been taken out of the system. They've been allowed freedom. I've seen posts of people saying, oh, I got my kids at home. I'm homeschooling them and they're in the backyard playing. And that's their school. So that's a very, very powerful thing to have this liberation and this expansion of sovereignty and freedom, regardless of what it looks like on the other end of the spectrum.
I agree.
From a 3D standpoint. So yeah, I think it's the biggest gift we've ever had. And I'm a history buff. And I think, if you go back 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 years of recorded history, what we have of it, this is the most important time that's ever come.
So you see the tumbling down of everything. I do. I see that too. The stock market, everything's going to go down to completely nothing,
Yeah.
and we're going to have to rely on the basic resources just to stay alive.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Basic instincts is what I mean too.
it's what?
Basic instincts as well.
Well, yeah, you just said two very profound things. So one is we're going to have to do whatever to stay alive. Well, the fact is we don't die. So sooner or later, we're going to have to accept that, regardless of what your religion is or your non-religion or whatever your spiritual views are. Bottom line is, either you own it or you don't. And there's an old Zen proverb, let go or be dragged. This is a collective ascension. This is bigger than all of us. This is happening. And there is two ways to go forward the way I see it. One is I can sit here and doubt and be in fear, and I can question. No, that's the wrong word. I can resist, and I can attach to what I know, even though it makes me uncomfortable, but I know it. So I feel comfortable here. This is why people don't like change. Or I can say, wait a minute, there's plenty of evidence now that we're in a quantum field. That means that time and space aren't what was presented to us, and it was part of the programming. So if I'm in a quantum field, what does that mean? That means that whatever I look at and I bring it into myself as I just go through my throughout the day, whatever I send back out, because I'm both the receiver and the transmitter,
Right.
whatever I send back out is the reality I will have, and that I will contribute for better or worse to the collective experience. So I can go forward thinking I'm worm dirt, and that's great. And I can be drunk and disorderly and unruly and F everybody, and whatever. It doesn't mean anything. So why not just, be a a-hole the whole time? Or I can say, you know what? How do I know that what is going to occur is not 100% on me? Like, if I think bad about Gene, then there's going to be an inclination, depending on Gene's field, that Gene's going to be bad or whatever. But if I say there's a mirror of me, there's a divine human being, and we got this, and that's what goes in the field, then that's what's going to occur. And I believe what's happening this year is there is, and I don't know the number, there's a powerful minority in the world that is keeping themselves in check, that is creating a collective experience that is ascending by virtue of the self-responsibility, self-accountability, self-love, self-nurturing, self-expansion that they are conducting within their own field, between them and the universe, between them and the goddess God, So, and this is very much under the radar.
Right.
A lot of this frequency you can see on Soul Speaks 5D and in the Soulgy community. But what I'm saying is you won't see it on the mainstream, of course, and you won't really even see it on the alt news. I don't even see it on a lot of the more popular or known alt news or, alt media type platforms. But having said that, this is all about merging. We're merging the physical and the non-physical, the masculine and the feminine, all these different things. And I see that occurring now as we go into the last quarter of the year. And we are very honored at Soulogy we feel like we're a part of that. We were just blessed a week ago with having David Icke.
I saw that. And that is, let me say congratulations. That's a huge, huge thing for you.
It really is. And I think it's a huge thing for everybody involved, because a lot of people, most of the people that have been involved with Soulogy, regardless of how long they've been involved in the linear timeline, know the story, they know the energy. So I see this as a real opportunity to have a conversation, because Soul Speaks 5D is a conversation. It's not an interview.
Right.
Questions are asked back and forth. But I think it's a real opportunity to sit down and have a conscious conversation with somebody who I think has probably got the biggest etheric balls on the earth, because this guy's been out there since early 1990 saying I'm the son of God and fought his way through it. But my point is that he's probably had, God knows, thousands and thousands of interviews. I don't think he's going to have one, or has had many, along the lines of what our conversation will be, which is kind of an emphasis. Well, part of it is going to emphasize always on Soul Speak 5D, the individual's journey, and I would think, for instance, like David, what's it been like for you? Like, what did you go through this past week? Have you had a divine episode occur? Just these things that we don't talk about that used to be crazy. They're not crazy anymore. So, we're really happy to be a part of this, and we're looking forward to, some huge expansion opportunity with this show.
That's wonderful, man. I like I said, I lift my hat up to you and everything. That's great. It's just wonderful. But is there anybody that you connect with that sees things just like you do, but also in a different way? In other words, does a person there's a spiritual pride feel that there's going to be many of us, because I talk to many spiritual people and they all say the same thing. There's going to be many of us that don't make this. We're not going to be able to make it. Some of us will be able to make the 5D, but then I'm hearing it'll be all of us. So I don't know what to believe.
Yeah.
I believe what I believe, that we're all going to make it.
Yeah. I think in all of us, there's an innate knowing. And then we have loads and loads of programming, which are so embedded and so subtle.
Right.
I woke up today and I had, as an example, I had what I would call the first or second biggest physical download I've ever had. Now, it lasted about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm still feeling it, but what I'm trying to say is information came in. It came in and affected my body to the point where my mouth started watering. I thought I was going to throw up, but I'm getting this message at the same time. So there's something very interesting about this, because this is occurring more and more. And I'll finish by answering your question, but this is related. So there's many people around the world that are connecting to multidimensional aspects. They're having past life memories. They're having galactic connections or angelic connections or sacred geometry. Everybody's different. The universe communicates to each and every one of us in its own unique way. But now the human being is coming on board. The human being, God, goddesses in the flesh, no BS, that have chose to come down into a dense atmosphere for the opportunity to transform to the highest potential and increase the experience of the universe itself by virtue of our own increase in experience. So the human is the last part to come aboard. People like myself today are having downloads that are affecting their physical body. The physical body is a consciousness no different than you when you were so-and-so in a past life, or you as a galactic being,
Right.
So it's all coming together. Now, in terms of what you're asking, yes, there has always been built into the narratives, the various narratives, especially for these times, because they've been cited in most of the sacred texts and oral histories passed down through primitive religions, aboriginals, indigenous, and such. And that has been that there's going to be this end of times where the good people go over here and the bad people go over here. And it's just not the case. The old saying, God doesn't create junk. Like I said earlier, the whole point is that we're in a polarized duality, and God, goddess, source, universe lives in the middle. You cannot divorce yourself from any aspect of the universe, not the darkest dark, not the lightest light. And too much light is as bad as too much dark.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you know what I mean? Piousness versus pure putridness, right? They're both ends of the spectrum. Right, yeah. So our job is to, from the circle of our life, which is us at the core, and then it might be family and friends, and then it might be as the circle gets bigger, is to integrate and neutralize and 0 point each and every polarity that's put before us by taking personal responsibility for what's active in ourselves. So I say that, yeah, I think if you line up 1,000 light workers, if that's what you want to call them, because these labels are getting ridiculous, but well, star seeds, light workers,
I
whatever.
know.
You know
Please.
what I mean? But if you lined up 1,000 Muslims, 1,000 Christians, 1,000 Jews, and whatever, you would probably have the same percentage all through those groups of who thinks there's going to be an us versus them, and who thinks like you and I do, which is, hey, we all need to just, it's not the red pill or the blue
Right,
pill.
right.
It's the chill pill. Take the chill pill. Stop taking yourself so seriously. We're gods and goddesses out here having fun, and we got caught up in the story, and that's okay. But now, now let's look at what we can do with this. What can we do with this awareness? Everybody says, "Oh, I'm woke and I woke up," and then, yeah, but what do we do with it? Do we just come here to say, "Oh, I am a child"?
It's not enough. It's not enough.
Right. And so, I got off on a tangent, but yeah, I think that you still see that, and I think that's being worked out. But I really think that when people say it's us versus them, it doesn't matter what the topic is. They are in separation. My higher self told me a few months ago, in all cases, you are the point of separation, which means that as long as I carry a separation frequency, and it doesn't even matter what the topic is, I am the problem. So how do I rectify that? Is to bring these, Black Lives Matters and police brutality to the center, or Democrat, Republican, whatever it is, to the center, everything to the center, just as the historical figures we could put our fingers on anyway, Jesus, Buddha, Magdalene, did, and defied conventional wisdom. We're all the same, and I think that's where it starts and where it stops.
Yeah, and I have to quote something too from the Beatles. It's in "I Am a Walrus." I am me, we are we, and we're all together.
That's
so,
right.
based on the fact that we're connected to Source and we're part of Source, what are we worried about?
Yeah.
Our brother's going to help us. We're going to help our brother, and we're going to help people underneath us and people around us. And we're all family. We are all family. And if people just got that out there.
Yeah, and I think it's time to walk the talk. And I think that's what the universe is doing now. I have a beat on so many different experiences that people are having on a personal level because of the work that I do. And everybody's going through the grind. Not in a bad way. They're getting hit with something. I mean, but let me just kind of summarize it. You got people that are leaving long-term relationships. They're leaving jobs. They're leaving their homes and their cities and their religions and their groups, and they're choosing themselves. My wife downloaded 20 years ago, and some others have talked about this, and that we were going from the age of duality to the age of Trinity. What is the age of Trinity? The age of Trinity is where two of us come together, and between us, we create a third energy. And that third energy we might call the Holy Spirit. This is an energy that's like the angelic field and the higher ET field, and that are waiting to help us if we'll ask, right? That work in cooperation with us. And so there's a lot of ways to look at that. And I think the best I've heard, she downloaded a few weeks ago. I'm obviously very blessed to be with the person I'm with, because she's like a cosmic antenna. But that is the Trinity of service to self, service to others, and service to humanity. When your thought or your action and or your words align with all three, in other words, they mean one in the same, they serve one in the same of those 3 points on that triad equally, then you are in that center point. And you don't even have to say anything. You can just walk around. You're like a cosmic tuning fork, an illuminated vessel that consciously and unconsciously other souls, other God substances, such as the animal kingdom, the elemental kingdom, the wind, they're all going to respond to you. They're going to match you.
Right.
So that's I think what's happening too, Gene, is that we've had so much complication out there because there's so many streams of thought, right? And conviction and whatever, that it's coming down to a profound simplicity, which is basic things like the golden rule. What goes around comes around. There is one. And each one of us is equal. And the beautiful part is each one of us is unique. You know, and that to me is the big mystery. When this is over, are we still unique, or are we just in a big sea of soup? And it really doesn't matter, because the whole point is that we continue.
Right. And each one of it, yeah, that definitely, I would agree with that. What do you think about the new technologies that are coming out as far as like med beds? I think that is going to change a lot of people's perspective on frequencies and frequency healing. What's your perspective on it?
You know, that's a great question, because there's a lot of stuff written. You know, we can talk about the secret space program.
Oh yeah, anything you want. You can.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of stuff written out there. Med beds is one of them. Free energy. I think where we're going is definitely going to be heavily or significantly influenced by our thoughts going forward. What are your thoughts on med beds? What are my thoughts on med beds? You know, even with our prejudices and biases, undetectable to ourselves, in our hopes and our dreams and such, and our loves and our hates. But I think the real technology is us. I think it's our imagination. It's our manifestation abilities. It's our supernatural, higher sensitivity skills and abilities. I think that the real technology doesn't require any machinations that are, let's say, man-made. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I think that you're going to have people, if it's not already occurring, that are going to be teleporting and having dinner on Venus tonight without a spaceship, you know, as we, you know, might think what a spaceship is.
Right.
There is a whole other world on the other side of these veils that have been lifting rapidly. And the thing is I think of all the things that we have to contend with, there's 3 or 4 or 5 things that kind of serve us well. And one of those is I surrender. Like, I've tried everything else. Like, if I'm having a mano y mano, let's just say, I'll use the name God. And I say, well, I've tried everything. I've tried this and I've tried that and I've tried this, right? Yep. And I've tried to live within your glory and grace, but I've had this absolute over here that says, okay, I apply all this, but on these 2 or 3 issues, I'm going to have to stick to my guts, okay? Because I know I'm right. Conviction doesn't matter what the subject is. Conviction doesn't even exist in 5D.
Good point.
Healing doesn't exist in 5D. Forgiveness doesn't exist in 5D. Suspicion doesn't exist in 5D. And our understanding of what love is, which I would call, say, earth love, doesn't exist in 5D. So we're talking about a space that we actually hold within ourselves that's being supported by the universal energy that's rapidly changing in this realm, which kind of equates to this. If you have the desire to grow and you don't know what to do, you don't know what book to read, you don't know what lecturer to hear, you don't know what mental practice or, you know, whatever, but you have the desire and you have a conversation. Let's just say every morning you say, universe, I want to grow and expand today. How can I serve for the highest and best of all involved? Self, others, and humanity. Boom. It's going to conspire with you. Now, on the other hand, because we're all getting the information, whether we want to admit it or not, we're all getting the intuitive, telepathic communication, and we always have. It's just been kind of shut down, and now it's coming back. We can talk about pineal gland and all that stuff, but everybody's getting it. And where it comes up first and foremost is in your own personal field. Are you an a-hole? How do you treat your kid? How do you treat your friend?
That's a big.
So all these things where we want to project out to other people is really the universe speaking to us and say, hey, pal, look at yourself. It's never them. It's always you. This is how the universe operates. So the second part, or the second way that this plays out, the universe is still conspiring with you. But if you're ignoring it, it's going to take this away, it's going to take that away, and it's going to leave you there embarrassed and buck naked to the soul until you finally say, you know what? Not out of submission in the subservient.
So right, brother.
But you say, I surrender to the embrace. The biggest challenge, the biggest fear, whatever you want to call it, the biggest hurdle is accepting that I am what made me. It doesn't matter if I have a physical body. It's still the same God substance as the Syrian aspects that walked into my wife in my bedroom and appeared before us. It's the same thing. Everything is the same God substance. So I think the biggest challenge is to actually come to terms with who we are, what we are, and what we're a part of. And the more we can do that, there is a simultaneous reaction on many parallel streams that occur and rise with it. The more you accept who you are, what you are, and what you're part of, the higher your frequency of love and courage and wisdom and ability to teleport and ability to telepath, So, it's kind of complicated, but it's really a simple, profound thing, which is really comes down to what we call the I am Soulogy.
I love how you put it in perspective, because I have so many friends that they've been jerks their whole lives, and they can't realize they don't understand why everything happens to them for a reason. And I said, well, that's because you've been a jerk your whole life. I'm just repeating back what the universe is telling them. Exactly what you just said is what's happening to them now. Now, that didn't happen right away. It took many, many years, because the universe, of course, people around us, they give you many, many years to readjust yourself. And if you're going to be a jerk your whole life, guess what? It's going to pay you back as a jerk. You're right. 100% right. 100% right.
Well,
karmic activity always comes back.
One of the great, there's, all the sacred texts have little gems, and they also all have the common thread running through them, no matter who tried to bastardize them or manipulate or modify them. But in the Bible, born again, I think the passage, and I'm not a Bible scholar by any
I'm not
means,
either. I know.
but it's like turn the page. This is the great thing about the fact that there is no time. The past is gone. Like what we just talked about 30 seconds, it's gone.
Right. You're right.
It's gone.
Right.
We can either let it be a handicap to us as we move forward by being, wow, look what I said, or wow, look what happened to me. Because they're going to serve the same purpose. They're going to hold you down and keep you out of the present. Now, the future, I think has come second. We've started to go, wait a minute, and this is the COVID, I think, type of energy or programming has helped us here, which is like, hey, I can't even think about tomorrow because I've got to be present right now because the world's getting effing crazy, right? So now we're in this present, and that's really what it is, and we're not used to that. But if you look at indigenous cultures, even like the Amish, well, maybe back a few years because they've even got affected, it's a very present grace in their frequency, in their day-to-day, moment-by-moment existence. Everything is gratitude. And the universe runs on this gratitude. And here's the other thing I'd say is that the way the 5D works is by engaging it. The way it grows is by engaging it. So if I have COVID over here, programming, and over here I have this newfound, epiphany, understanding, revelation, whatever, that, wow, I can't go to work. I'm now with my wife over here and my kids who I haven't talked to in 15 years because I've been running around with my head, So here I am in the present, and you feed that. You can't feed that if you're over here, like the Bible says too. You can't serve two masters. So what I'm trying to say is, we've bought into all this other stuff, and nobody's going to do it for us. This is where I kind of have an issue, and I don't have any political affiliation. I'm just making comments. in regard to
Understood.
what steals our power. I have a little problem with people jumping on bandwagons, and it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden or Q, because fear-based programming is
100%
no different than savior-based programming. Jesus Christ was a powerful incarnated soul, but he's not coming to save you. That is a disempowering element that was purposely put out there by the church. And this is not damning anybody. I'm not demonizing anybody. I'm just telling you, this is what we set up and we're all responsible for it. But I guess what I was trying to say is,
I love that. You're so truthful, brother. Right on.
but you know, if
It needs to be said. It needs to be said.
Yeah, it does. It does, because look, telepathy, what is telepathy? If you're in 100% telepathic field, there's not a damn thing that anyone's not going to know about each other. And there's no way you're going to be able to BS yourself, because you're the root of the telepathy. So if that's the case, why don't we all start being a little more direct? Because look what's happening. Look what's happening in the world. You've got all these conspiracy theories that are getting traction. You've got some from a human-only perspective, okay? You've got some horrific, crazy, wild, talk about truth being stranger than fiction. You got child trafficking, you've got sexual ritual, you've got cannibalism, you've got sacrifice.
Crazy.
Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg, people. This isn't the whole kit and caboodle. These presidents and prime ministers haven't been in control. All you got to do is go do a little research back to Eisenhower, Truman, Majestic. You know, you got treaties. You can watch it. You can see the proliferation of the Nazis that actually expanded after World War II and took over NASA and the CIA. So we can get caught up in all that. But I think here's where, and this is one of the reasons I'm real excited to talk to David Icke. How much more information do we need? What's the point? Do we want to beat the dead horse, and we're the dead horse? Do we want to just beat ourselves up and just, now I'm not saying that it's not important, but why is it happening? And he even says this, to keep us from ourselves, you know? And once we discover ourselves, we can change these things instantaneously. You talked about technology, instant manifestation. People are talking about stuff all over the world. You got people healing themselves of cancer instantaneously. I've got a friend that 10 years ago went to get his leg cut off because he had cancer. He got a download that night. He's a normal person like you and me. He woke up the next day and said, I'm not getting my leg cut off, and I'm going to start blending CBD, and this guy's in Australia, and I'm going to change my diet. I think he does raw veggies or something. Cancer went away, just like that. So this is the real technology. We're the technology. We're the free energy.
Yeah, so agree.
You know,
so
it's, if we feed that, the great thing about it's our attention. You know, where your attention goes, grows, right? So it's kind of an easy thing. Who do you be with? Who you love, without any of the codependent frequencies. And if you got to be alone, you're with who you love. Be with who you love, do what you love. And that's how it works. You are lighting up the grid, and make no mistakes about it. It has effects on every dimension and timeline throughout the universe. So be with who you love, do what you love, and walk the talk. You don't have to go convince anybody. In fact, the most powerful souls on the earth, to me, are the ones that just say it like Amma. You just walk around and it's like, well, why is that? Because of her gratitude and her love. And there's nothing else to talk about. And people feel it. If they can feel that with a human being who's just like them, imagine what where two or more gather, which is what's happening now.
Oh, you're right. And also the universe, here's the thing, Todd. The universe is going to continue on whether we want it to play into it or not play into it. So the best thing, like you said, is not play into it. Don't
Yeah.
play into it. Don't play into any of the garbage you see or any of the garbage you see or hear, or just go by your instinct. Go by what you feel is good
Yes.
for you. And don't judge
Absolutely.
other people. Don't judge other people.
Well, if you're judging somebody, there's something in yourself you haven't seen.
That's right.
And I'll give you an example because it's a little tricky because we're dealing with polarities. So after my wife came the first time to the States and I was trying to get her back over here,
Mhm.
we were trying to forge a life together. And of course, I'm living out of a suitcase and I got no money and I'm broadcasting. So what happened was everywhere I would go, pretty much, these women would come on to me. Now they knew I was with Morgan and they knew I loved her and I would talk about her and, I'm just Todd, right? So one time it kind of simmered up and I called her on the phone. I said, I'm getting out of this place. They're coming on to me and I'm sick and tired of this. And she said, Todd, I've been telling you this. It's active in your field. I said, what do you mean? I'm not promiscuous. I'm not chasing any skirts, She said, no, you don't get it. It's not, it's active in your field. If it's not the promiscuity, it's the opposite. So I was like, whoa. So I went back to the house and I said, okay, wait a minute now. How does this work? So I don't identify, I'm separate from promiscuity. I am loyal. But the fact is those two are the same energy that just need to be pulled to the center. You can't love this so much that you hate this. You can't be this and be appalled by that.
Right.
They have to hold the same weight in the middle. And so I cleared it and it never happened again.
Wow.
Now I tell this story because it's an example. A lot of times we don't think, here's another great example for people that are thinking and self-introspective, and there's been a lot written about it, and that's the empath narcissist. People in relationships in the old 3D, which we need to honor because this is what got us here, where they're saying, oh, I'm married to a narcissist. I mean, I'm overgiving, they're overtaking. I mean, it's been written about for the last several years and even beyond that. So I had somebody come to me and she said, I'm involved with this person and he's always taking and I'm always giving. And I said, do you consider yourself an empathic person, a caring person? Yes. I said, now, do you consider yourself the other side of this person, your partner that you love? And she said, no, I'm not like that. And here we go. The narcissist and the empath have a central point. Everything has a central point. And all this that I'm talking about occurs within ourselves. Doesn't matter who you try to convince or, what you say or what you write or what you post. It all has to do with you and the universe, mano y mano, because you're talking to yourself basically. But we're electromagnetic vehicles that carry a charge, and in that neutral charge is how we thrive. Wow,
I love the way your perspectives are. So where can everybody hear you and tell about your page, where you're at, and how people can get in touch with you? I mean, donate. Well,
yeah, we've been at this 9 years and we still don't have a website. But
it's okay.
We're very, very close. I promised myself I wouldn't bring it up but we're very, very close. Right now you can find us, we multi-stream. So we have currently 5 platforms that we multi-stream on. We multi-stream on my Facebook page, which has been the main vehicle because of the algorithms at Facebook. We also simulcast or multi-stream on Soulogy One Studios Facebook page. And then we also do it on the Soulogy group in Facebook. And then there's another Facebook group that we do it through. It's a live stream that some friends of mine put together. And then we also do it on YouTube, Soulogy One Studios page. But in the very near future, the multi-stream platforms will probably be around, I'm going to say 12 to 15. Each show will be 12 to 15 live platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and there'll be more than one on YouTube, the Facebook, and then you're looking at like Periscope and Twitch and a few other ones.
Mhm.
But also, and most importantly, and I think most, you know, well, for me anyway, what I'm most happy about is we're real close to start originating our broadcast from our own site. And
That's
there's a
good.
lot.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot behind that. And I've talked about it for 2.5 years. And but rather than talk about it, I would just say stay tuned. I think the David Icke show that's scheduled for November 18th at I think would be around 11 or noon East Coast, is going to be kind of an energetic representative, partially representative of the energetic shift that Soulogy is about to go through. So it's we just got donated a bus. Somebody donated a 23-foot bus with us. They've been watching us for 3 weeks. She had a stroke, 66 years old, beautiful sister, and she said, Spirit told me, give you the bus. So we drove down to New Mexico and picked it up and drove back.
That's
so
awesome.
A lot of other good things have happened. But I also think that what's happening at Soulogy, what's happening with me, what's happening with many others is really indicative of what's happening to everybody. It just doesn't look that way. It doesn't always look that way because we do get caught up in the negatives. But I think more and more people are, because of the circumstances that you brought up earlier, the energetic field is supporting energetic expansion. And the way I look at it is the universe is basically talking to us and saying, hey, okay, I've tried this. I've nudged you. I've tapped you on the shoulder, and I'm going to take this 2x4 and slap you right in the butt. Okay. So the way that is being played out isn't, and it can feel like that. Believe me, you know that. And I know
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like saying, I'm going to make this so stupid and so silly and so cartoonish till you get to the point you just go, you know what? I don't care if that's real.
That's right.
I'm not buying into it anymore. You know? And I think the last thing I'd say on that, Gene, is if you look at the false flag frequency represented by certain physical situations and occurrences over the past few years, even going back to 9/11, they don't work anymore. Look what happened in Vegas. What was that, like 2 years or a year ago?
Yeah.
It was like big news for like 3 days. And then all the truth came out. Then they had one in Dallas right after that, which was like, it was like this big thing, and it lasted like 36 hours because it just totally got shot down. And I don't mean so much by the, the virtual warriors, right? I love that, these people out with the cameras, but it was just, it's a frequency thing. It's an energetic thing, and we're being supported. And if I had to get, if the advice I give myself more and more every day is to ask. Because if any of us think about our lives when we were little kids, pre-2000 and pre-2012 and pre-Y2K and pre all that stuff, and we were just normal little kids, and even as we got to be teenagers and young married people and fathers and mothers, how many times did we hit our knees and just say, can you help me, please? And how many times did we get an answer? Every time.
Yeah.
The only thing is we weren't as conscious we weren't as conscious a creator as we are now. Now we're like, hey, we really do make this happen. So, but yeah, it's bigger than us. And it loves us. And if we can just accept that whatever the universe has in store for us is something that's good or better than anything we could ever imagine, and to allow it to occur in however it sees fit. So in other words, get the F out of the way.
Right. No, that's right. And 100% be humble, right? And I knew as a young kid when I used to walk with my parents, like in a grocery store, even in a little mall, outdoor mall, I used to say, why do people have to be homeless? And my dad said, well, because the bank took the house away. I'm like, I don't understand that. Why would they take their house away if they need to make the money to pay for the house? And he said, well, sometimes, the parents lost their jobs. And I'm saying, why don't they just get other jobs? So what I'm always saying is there's always, and we both talked about this, there's always an alternative way to look at things. And I think that's what we're doing here today. We're looking at, you don't have to give up. I mean, I gave up many times. Now I don't, I just told my wife, I said, I'm not giving up. This time I'm not giving up. I'm just going to sit back and watch what happens, but I'm going to be there, still in the game, playing what I need to do, because I don't want to look at success and go, you know, hey, I know I failed before, and I know I'm going to fail again.
Yeah.
But the failure is going to make me even richer the next time. The more we do together, or the more I can do for other people, the richer my life becomes. Doesn't have to mean that I have a lot of money. It doesn't mean that I have to be the best person or the happiest person in the world, but I'm happy to myself. And that's the only person you have to please is yourself.
That's right. That's where it starts. If you're not happy, you know, you can blame it on other people, but if you, and it's not even a place, it's a trajectory.
Trajectory, right? Yeah.
You know, you continue to elevate your self-respect, self-love, self-honor, self-reverence, which means, yes, that you're changing old patterns. So you're going to be, oh, by the way, my friend or my spouse or my kid or my whatever, this is how it is now. I'm picking me. And you're really picking everybody when you do that, because they see that, you know. And the other thing I'd say about the failure thing, one of the biggest third eye opening experiences I ever had was when Morgan came the first time. And she is a practitioner of something called zero pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, of course, I was like connected with soul, you know, I was doing Soulogy, and I knew I was connected, but you know, I didn't know anything about shadows. And so she came down and she's like, you have some work to do. We're going to be together. You need to, like, you know, come into alignment more and recognize things. And I'm like, what are you picking on me for? You know? But after a few days of resistance, I said, okay. So she said, make a list of all your failures. So I made a list of about 20, and I went into the room. She's like, no, that's not enough. So like 4 hours later, I'm in snot coming out of my nose. I'm crying. I got 136 on this list of failures, but it was the exercise of a lifetime, because it showed me so much. And
She made you
so
look
failure,
deeper, really, is what she did.
huh?
She made you look a lot deeper than what you were looking at.
Absolutely, she did. And then what the crazy thing is, my second favorite quote in my life has been by an old sales guy named Tom Hopkins. And he says, I'm not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed, which is in direct proportion to the number of times I try, which is to your point, like what you told your wife today. And never give up. You know, a soul cannot survive because the soul never dies. The only thing a soul can do is say, I give up, you know, when we don't have to. We don't have to. And we all know that, you know, we really do. So, yeah, very cool. You look great. You look
Thank
fantastic.
you, brother. Hey, let's stay in touch. You know, if you need me for anything, let me know. And, you know, I've reached out to a lot of friends. You know, I would love to get them in touch with you, because again, I love what you're doing. I'm actually trying to do the same thing on this side of the curtain, but it's a lot harder than you think it is.
I know it is. Believe me, I help a lot of people, and I try to tell them, you know, take it easy, man. Just do like I could do what I did because I didn't have a life.
Right.
You know, this was my life. But yeah, if somebody can, and I'm a big believer, everyone pick up a microphone, pick up a pen. We need your expressions. We all
Absolutely.
do. It carries code. It carries code. And, you know, we have visitations, and you have this and you have that, but nothing is more powerful than two or more people having a conversation with, you know, with no BS, pure vulnerability,
Sure, yep, absolutely.
Totally uninhibited, respect, honor, and reverence, and just having a conversation. That's your highest activations, downloads, channelings, transmissions right there. It's full of code. And as my wife says, 5D doesn't have teachers. We're just sharing code with each other. And that's what we're doing. So if I can help you in any way, please let me know.
Sure, brother.
And all blessings to you and yours. I got to run off to do my first of 3 shows.
No, I get it. I get it. Go ahead. Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this.
Yeah, and I'll reach out to you and have you come on Soul Speak 5D. And if you got anybody,
anytime, brother, anytime.
Yeah, and if you got anybody that you feel, yeah, let me know. But yeah, I'll reach out to you real soon because I'm actually filling in some space for the last 2.5 months of the year, and I want to do some things with the frequency. So you'd be great for it. I think it'd be fantastic, and I'd love to collaborate with you again.
Okay, and add you to the Hell of the Radio Network. I'd love to start doing your shows on there too.
We can talk about that. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank
Absolutely.
you, brother.
All right, brother.
God bless.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. We'll talk about that, Gene.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Same to you, bro.